Do they look like a championship team to you right now?
In a lot of ways, last night they did, and I'm gonna tell you why. They were physical. Their defense is championship caliber right now, and it has been for a couple of months. Bottom line is their 2 stars came up small. In the biggest way that you can. They could not get anything going offensively. They are playing way too slow. And they're getting into wrestling matches with Lou Dort, who's one of the best on-ball defenders in this league, one of the strongest ones. Luka has already identified him as such going into the series. They're playing too slow, so you end up in this bogged-down half-court sets when you have to have it. And if it's not Luka, then it better be Kyrie. That's why you have 2 superstar offensive players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored more than the 2 of those guys combined. That cannot happen. They controlled most of this game, and there's a lot of things to like about the way Dallas played in this game. The one thing you didn't, though, was the way their 2 stars performed. They better have a significant answer going forward the rest of this series, or they will not beat the Oklahoma City.
McNutt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the thing that makes last night's performance tricky, in the first half, I was like, woo, championship quality team, force on both sides of the basketball. Second half, I thought you could see the Thunder starting to churn their wheels, right? We're just going to play with energy. We're going to play hard. We're going to get to these loose balls. But the whole point of having Luka and Kyrie is that one of them is going to show up and be clutch down the stretch. But as much as you can talk about Dallas, because we've heard the story before, oh, their offense is too slow, it's bogged down. Like, we've heard that for however long. The Oklahoma City Thunder, as a young squad, they're still so cute. They do their interviews together. It's adorable. But them turning a corner and getting this win behind SGA, like that to me is noteworthy as well.
Are they in control of the series now, Windman? Are the Thunder in control? They go back home now. They've got a best of 3 with 2 games in their own building. Again, I think the people look at the names on the backs of the jerseys, and they see Doncic and they see Irving. And on the other side, they see the youngest team ever to be a 1 seed. I think the world expected Dallas to win this series. Are the Thunder going to do it?
I don't know if they're in control, but obviously their game plan is working. Let's have a moment of respect for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Finished second in the MVP vote, killed the Mavericks with mid-range shots last night. I think he hit like 12 or 13 of them. Totally broke down their defense under pressure. And when it mattered, he trusted his teammates. He hit Holmgren for a 3 and Dort for a 3. Speaking of Lou Dort, played the entire game in foul trouble. Was all over Luka, making everything difficult. I understand that he's wounded. I understand he's not 100%. Lou Dort is being great. Chet Holmgren, 1 of 14, the Mavericks against Chet Holmgren last night. He's being a beast at the rim.
Free throws late.
Cason Wallace shutting down Luka. And one more thing, Greeny.
Yeah.
Mark Daigneault, the coach of the year, sticking with his game plan of focusing on Kyrie and focusing on Doncic, not caring about P.J. Washington. He made a bunch of 3s. They stuck with it last night. They took the bait. 19 shots for P.J. Washington, 11 for Kyrie Irving. Victory, Thunder.
By the way, nothing is a foul in that series.
Oh,
Am I
it's
right?
football.
Nothing is a foul.
No, it's
in that
There was a
series.
play
It's
off the
physical.
ball last night with Luka and Dort. It looked like Iron Claw. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's coming up the top buckle.
Last night, Donovan Mitchell not available. He's got the calf and all that kind of stuff. He was on the sideline watching, and so was LeBron James.
Cavalier fans, welcome back to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse from St. Vincent, St. Mary High School in Akron, Ohio. Number 23, LeBron James.
Not exactly unobtrusive, sitting right on the court. We'll get into that a little bit later. In the meantime, let's get into the game. The Cavaliers take a lead in the third quarter behind Darius Garland, and they're fighting so hard without Donovan Mitchell. But in the end, legs, the other side, they've got Jalen Brown and they've got Jason Tatum, and it's just too much.
Yeah, just not enough firepower for Cleveland. They made several runs to stay in this game, but ultimately, Boston just got a little too much.
Yeah, this is Evan Mobley making this a 5-point game deep into the fourth quarter. I mean, they are there, but Jason Tatum, little spin and he gets it back. He had 33 and then a dagger 3 from Jalen Brown to knock it away and knock it down. Brown had 27 points, 8 rebounds, and in the end, Boston they're just too good, as they've been in each of their 2 series. They continue to be somewhat uninspiring. I'm not really sure how to describe it. Let's give some context to what we are seeing here. What is it that we are seeing in these Celtics? They're 7-2 in the postseason. They dropped a couple of weird games in which the other team went nuts. One Donovan Mitchell, the other one the Heat just shot like crazy, and yet I feel like all I'm seeing in social media and most of the commentary is they don't look that good. The Celtics look ripe for the picking. What do you think?
I think it's relative to who they're playing. That's why we're judging them on that. But here, I think for me, the two biggest statements they've made were Game 3 both series, because they lose Game 2 at home. And you say to yourself, okay, what's the answer going to be now going on the road? Remember the Miami series. Miami makes a record number of threes. They win that game. Everybody thinks because it's the Heat and Eric Spoelstra, watch out. And what do the Celtics do? They go down there in Game 3. They don't just win the game.
Yep.
They blow them out. And they squash the rebellion right there. Like, enough talk. This isn't going to lead to some sort of anxiety around this team. They did the exact same thing in this series. They went in there. They won Game 3 decisively, which is what you have to do to answer maybe a subpar performance in your own building.
I did not know that you were going to go Star Wars on me, and I did not know that you were an Empire guy, but okay, we'll roll with that. I just feel like the Celtics, last year was all playing with their food kind of thing. Series were extended too long. It cost them in the conference finals. I don't know what this is. This is a 60-win team that is basically meh right now, right? It's like, this is the Boston Invitational. That's what we've been calling it, the Eastern Conference playoffs. And it's a matter of the best team they're going to play in this run, or the healthiest and most talented, will probably not be until the NBA Finals. So I don't know how we judge them other than the fact that they continue to win.
You know, Monica, I would ask you just from a player's mindset. All of us from the outside look at this and say, Miami had no chance to beat them. Cleveland had no chance to beat them. Whether it's the Knicks or Pacers, especially as banged up as the Knicks are, have no chance to beat them. There has to be somewhere down deep inside of them that they think that too, right?
Yeah.
You have to fight that off and all. I get it. You got to be as motivated as you can be. But down deep inside, they know none of these teams can beat.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what you see happen in Game 2, and even the start of this game, right? Like, there is the human element. As much as we want these players to come out, be nasty, like aggressive, nobody's our friends, we're going to go stomp teams by 40 points every night, that's just not kind of realistic. And I do think, I've thought about this a lot as we look at our stars, and we've talked a lot about Anthony Edwards saying all the things that we love in terms of being competitive. Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, like, they've never been the most boisterous vocal guys. I don't question that they are competitors, but, like, the way the Celtics are playing kind of is true to their personalities, too, until it is truly going to be go time.
They have played fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
My issue is that they have dropped 2 games at home, which is what they always do. They are 15-15 at home. Do you know how hard it is to be 15-15 at home over a stretch of peace? That means you got to be good enough to play all those games, and you got to win a bunch of series to be average at home. That's my only thing. I honestly I'm not worried about how Tatum is playing. I'm not worried about how Jalen Brown's playing. I'm worried about their inability to defend their home court. So it would be nice if they took care of business, especially since I don't think Donovan Mitchell's playing tomorrow, and ended this series.
Back on Get Up, injury update, and it's not a surprise. OG Anunoby listed as out for Game 5 tonight for the Knicks as he continues to nurse a hamstring injury. Despite all of the injuries they have suffered, Stephen A. Smith maintains confidence in his favorite team.
They just don't have the bodies right now.
No.
And so, again, it's not over. You come back to the Garden, that adrenaline, it could galvanize the team. They could ultimately pull out a Game 5, force a Game 7, because I don't think they'll win Game 6 back in Indiana. But it is asking a lot considering the health of the New York Knicks.
So I see it that way as well. I'm the oldest person at this table, so I don't know if any of you know the ending of the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where they come out and it's just the two of them, and there's like an entire army of people shooting.
It's not a happy ending.
It's not a happy ending, and I fear, again, as a lifelong New Yorker and fan of the Knicks, that's what's in store here. And it's not to diminish anything the Pacers have done. They've played very well. They've made great adjustments, all the rest of that. But at the end of the day, Legs, at some point, things stop being excuses, and they just turn into reasons. The Knicks, I think, are just too banged up to win this series. I said it last Friday when it was 2-0 New York.
That is how I feel as well. I thought the Knicks would win this series in a long series prior to the Anunoby injury. I don't know how you overcome that. So I kind of feel how you do. I also think this whole conversation is so Knicks-centric that it's like we're not focused on the fact that Indiana's a good team. And Indiana has played this series exactly to their liking in terms of pace and push, and I think it's gotten away from the Knicks a little bit. Look, they got a lot of rest in the last game. Josh Hart finally got some rest. Jalen Brunson finally got some rest. We'll see if that pays dividends in Game 5. They're going to be electrified by the crowd. There's no doubt about it. But Indiana is a very good offensive team. And do the Knicks have enough bodies to counter that? That's where I'm at, too.
It's funny you say that the Pacers are doing all the things that they need to do, right? Have made adjustments. They certainly have. And Rick Carlisle did work the media a little bit as well to get a narrative going about Hicks versus Knicks and woe is us, the small market. And then they put a bigger defender on Jalen Brunson. But I saw something in the beginning of both game 3 and 4 that I think, if you're Tom Thibodeau, he didn't say anything, but I'd want the league to watch this. Look at Jalen Brunson's feet. That's a closeout that takes his foot out. No call. This is game 4. Same thing. Early in the game. Lands on a foot. Those are supposed to be fouls. J.J. Redick pointed that out in the game 4 broadcast and went crazy because as a shooter, I'm sure, Legs, you can say the same thing. The last thing you want early in a game when you have a bad foot is to land on someone's foot and deal with that. It's not to say the Pacers are targeting him. It's not to say the Pacers did it all game. But to do it early in a game already has Jalen Brunson thinking about it and maybe also landing that. You get that little bit of a pain that now is in your head the rest of the game. So that is something for me I'm watching in early possessions in game 5, and I'm wondering if quietly the Knicks sent some tape. I don't know if it's 79 plays like Rick Carlisle did, but you send something to tell the league, they're going at his feet. And if you're going to tell me like they pushed Tyrese Halliburton and he's got a sore back, we all know that. But we all know that Jalen Brunson has a sore foot. And you have to watch that if you're officials in game 5.
We all know that when one team knows the other team has a weakness somewhere, if it's a back, if it's a foot, if it's an arm, if it's a this, they're going to target it. That's not done accidentally. That's called sports from the beginning of time. So the question is, do they watch that more closely tonight? Look, I know there's been a lot of conversation about the officiating in this series. The Pacer fans were irate after games 1 and 2. The Knicks fans were irate after game 3. At the end of the day, I don't think the officiating is going to have anything to do with how this thing goes from here. Monica, what do you expect?
I agree with you, Greeny. I think officiating has been more of a conversation than I would have liked because we've had a really competitive series with 2 teams performing at a high level. I think for me, as I went into this series, of course, games 1 and 2 are a different feeling prior to the OG Anunoby injury. But the question is, which one of these teams is more poised to duplicate their formula for success, right? And to your point, Legs, the Pacers just have not been a stout defensive team, which is why, to me, it was kind of laughable that it was like all of a sudden they're this physical defensive team that's being punished. Well, wait a minute. That's not your identity, right? And so the injuries are a huge thing. But this run for this New York Knicks squad has just been so spectacular, led by Jalen Brunson. And there is a grit that you just quite can't quantify when it comes to them. There's a little bit more maturity there as well.
Windman, tell everybody what you said in our first hour, for those who are just joining us, why if the Knicks are going to win this series, they absolutely have to win tonight.
Yeah, I think Game 6, Stephen A. thought they would lose Game 6. No, Game 6 is a get game for the Knicks because they've got 2 days off. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark gets Thursday night in Gamebrink Fieldhouse, so the Knicks the Pacers have to wait till Friday. They can rest after this game. Sunday, if there's a Game 7, it's a day and a half. Sunday afternoon, 3:30, and they got to travel. No, you got to get tonight, and you got to get Friday. And here's the thing. They may have sent stuff to the league about getting under Jalen Brunson. Something else they probably sent to the league, how physical Aaron Nesmith is being on Brunson. He's banging him the whole way up the court.
94 feet.
They're saying, in the first game, Jalen Brunson got 14 free throws. The Pacers realized they were fouling him in the lane. Don't foul him in the lane. Foul him 70 feet from the basket. The refs aren't going to call it. The Knicks have to get Brunson out of pressure all the way down the court, whether that's coming down with a screener and knocking Nesmith into the floor or having somebody else bring up the court. They've got to ease the load on Brunson so he can go to work in the half court.
Legs, final word.
Fair point right there. And in fact, I'm seeing the same thing in the Denver series. What changed with that? And I talked with Michael Malone about this before Game 3. Their screening was atrocious in those first 2 games. You have to get body on body. And look, Jokic was setting a lot of moving screens in Game 3 and taking people out to a certain extent, but that's what it takes in a playoff game. And a guy like that's probably not going to get called for it. Same thing with Brunson. They've got to get him some more space to operate right now against a bigger, stronger defender that they have put on him. Great adjustment. I don't know what took Rick Carlisle so long. It was obvious to me immediately that Nembhard was going to have a hard time, particularly in one-on-one situations when Brunson's trying to get to a mid-range pull-up. He's just not big enough to get a hand-on-hand contest. Nesmith is. So now they've got to get Nesmith off of Brunson.
Quickly, Cindy, the picks up on the screen. Windy obviously not making picks as he's covering the series for us. The MSG crew is both picking the Knicks here because you've been with them every day and you've seen them overcome a lot of things. Legler and I think have reached the point where we think it is now unovercomable.